after every webinar, Frank and I usually have a phone conversation and share ideas and talk about things we've learned, things we may want to do in the future, and how we can relate that to our business. Frank and I both kind of learn at the same progress, and we share the same ideas and the same vision in this business. So I figured
Absolutely.
we record our conversation tonight, and see what we come up with. We both took notes from this crazy webinar on
Yep.
wholesale and private label, and turns out Big Frank here is doing pretty well with wholesale, and he actually has a product that he had manufactured in China, right? Right, Frank?
Yeah, that's right. There you go. That's a
Yeah. Guitar pick.
little peek of it.
Sweet.
What's interesting is that a lot of the tools came out after I went ahead and created this, and I always overcomplicated things. You see, I took something and just tried to then not only private label something, but then make it into a brand, which is good. But looking back, and now with all the tools such as Jungle Scout, which is something they mentioned, when I love Jungle Scout, by the way, I may have went the different route if I had those tools.
Yeah.
But lesson learned. I'm happy with the progress these have made. But yeah, definitely,
Well,
it's an
that's what it's
interesting
all
world
about.
dealing.
You saw the tools you had at the time, and you
Hmm.
just went ahead and got it done. You wanted to do something, and you did it. You found a way to do it. And from what you told
Absolutely.
me, it wasn't that hard. And that's the beautiful thing. Because when you try and get into private label, that's the biggest term. It's like, wow, it's going to be so much work. And that's what I thought
Mm.
before I learned about
Hmm.
Ryan Rieger and saw him speak at CES 3. And
Hmm.
and that's the great that's the best thing about it is it's not that difficult. And
Not at all. Not at all. In fact, the guy who's doing Greg Mercer, the guy who created Jungle Scout, has a series. He's in the middle of them right now, but he's taking you through the beginning all the way to the end of a product that he's going to be creating, a private label product, obviously, with the help then of feedback. And I think the item that they decided on, or one of the items they were decided on, were those sticks for roasting marshmallows. So
oh
something so simple,
yeah,
just sticks to roast marshmallows, and here I am trying to create this whole world,
yeah,
which again, I'm thankful for doing it. It's pretty cool, but there were sticks for marshmallows. So sometimes the simple ideas are the
yeah.
way to go.
That's what I love about private label, because how many times are you in the store and you see a product and you're like, you know what, I thought of something like that 5 years ago, or I can't believe I didn't think of that. Well, with private label on Amazon, it's different. You want to go away from that and choose the products that are generic, in that pretty much everyone has. Not everyone has a copy, but there could be other copies out there, but that's fine. You just take yours, you put your own label on it, and you have a private label, your own exclusive product. You do your own promotions and listings, and that's the most fantastic thing about Amazon. And with what I do with bundling, you have an exclusive listing, but there always is that potential that someone could jump on it. So that, to me, that's the most fantastic part of it.
Absolutely, and definitely having both of those in the repertoire, I think is key, along with then wholesaling too, which is good to develop those relationships. So those three things alone, the private labeling, the wholesaling, the bundling, if executed correctly, I think could definitely just flourish for somebody's business.
Yeah, and and to change the subject a little bit here, Frank,
Yeah,
Frank,
let's do it.
Frank and I have we're in the group Sell Tradecraft that I started, brought Frank in when Frank and I met online. And Frank, you remember where we met?
Was it? I think it was my silent team, right, where I was asking about bundling.
Yeah, yeah. Basically, Frank threw up a question about bundling, and of course, I ran over to hump his leg, and throw out all kinds of, you know, I just couldn't believe someone's asking about bundling. I was like, oh, I'm doing that. I ran over, started answering all his questions, and that turned into like a 50 post thread, if I remember correctly. And then that turned into a phone call, and at that
Yep.
time, I think I
Yep.
had, like 10 people in Seller Tradecraft. It was just just a little place I put together to throw my ideas out. So then you came over, and it kind of slowly grew from there. Our business has gotten in the way,
Right.
but now that Q4 sessions have come along, the group has grown a lot more, and you're sharing amazing content. I'm starting to share some stuff that I learned, and I just love the way the group's growing and ideas are being shared. A lot of questions, a lot of activity now. So that
Totally.
and that's the greatest thing about our jobs is that we have this amazing community, whether it's my silent team, Sourceaholics, now with the Q4 sessions and the mobile groups. But, you have this chance to meet other entrepreneurs that do what you do, and you can grow these groups and just turn them into something incredible and share your ideas and really, and as Frank and I, advance into wholesale and private label, you know, yeah, him and I are friends, but we also have this group where we can all share these ideas and put our own feedback in and reach out to other people. And Frank and I are always there to answer questions. So to me, that's the greatest thing. These organic groups that can grow and evolve into something incredible, right, Frank? Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. And just to start from where we met, I remember telling my wife, I was like, God, I was like, I just feel like I'm in this alone, and it would be really nice to relate with someone on that. And I remember after our first conversation, and we are like, oh, well, we should definitely do this. We see eye to eye. Again, the power of a community, for other people just to know that they could go ahead, they could go out, they could reach to people and find someone that maybe they connect with on some sort of level, and then next thing you know, uh, they don't feel alone, which is cool. And I think the best thing about what we feel and what we would try to bring to the group, um, again, it's just outside the box thinking. We called it like in colleges. I was telling you the other day how they have like incubators. Let people have their ideas. Let them start with their ideas. Let's help them take action on the ideas because that's the hardest thing to do.
And
And
most
let's see them
important, yeah.
blossom into, and most important, right? And let's see them blossom into legitimate businesses. I don't know. To me, that's awesome. To me, that's
Yeah, I
awesome.
just remember when I started and how absolutely clueless I was. I didn't even know you could sell on Amazon, and I jumped into, and the other thing about Frank and I, we're both members of Jim Cockrum Coaching.
Oh,
That was a big
absolutely.
deal when, I said, oh, hey, I'm in this coaching program. I was in the same one, and he's been selling longer than I have, but that right there, we were able to compare ideas and talk about the coach and how it's helped us, what we've been through, and you know, I jumped into coaching right away. I mean, I didn't even know how to sell on Amazon yet, So my first step in the coaching program was, okay, sign up for FBA. I remember my coach saying like, oh, okay, so you're not even in FBA yet. Yeah, you need to do that, and basically, I'm going to call Jim Cockrum and kill him because he sent me you. But it quickly grew from there. Luckily, it was December, and I was able to gain some sales right away. And
Yeah.
it just grew and grew and grew. I got a second. I ended with my first coach. I got a second coach. Uh, it was a guy named Andrew from Andrew Milburn from the UK, and he was awesome.
Mm.
I stuck with him. I still reach out to him from time to time. He was really great, and that's what got me, into the idea. Him and Barrington got me to the idea of selling overseas, and my business just growing, growing, growing. So this is actually my first Q4. Frank's been through it before, but and I get a lot of great feedback from him.
Sure.
But this is my first Q4, and I'm hitting the ground running. I'm not stopping. So
Totally.
and Frank's got some great ideas on how to think outside the box. I mean, some of the things he's doing, blow me away, and hopefully, I have the same effect on him. And that's the greatest thing about reaching out to people in your community. So
Oh, absolutely. It was interesting too with the coach, going back to the
sure,
coaching, how we took different aspects of the coaching and we went with them. Like I started heavy on grocery right away just before it became a gated category. And like for probably a year, I was selling 90% grocery, which was absolutely crazy. And I don't do that anymore
yeah,
now. But that was interesting. And then by year two, CES one came around, and then I was able to go to CES one in Orlando, and that's where I met lot of people, and that was a really cool experience.
Yeah, CES. I obviously my first CES conference was CES 3. It was the first one I could go to, and I couldn't sleep for a week after leaving that place.
I
I
know.
walked into that conference miserable about my business. I couldn't. You know, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do next. I didn't know how to kind of organize my business. I was sourcing and not, just not having the success I wanted to. I was doing bundles, but I wasn't quite, killing it there yet. And listening to those guys on stage, listening to their experience. One of the things I actually realized was that everybody has a similar experiences. I mean, some people end up, doing a lot better than others, faster, but everybody has hurdles to climb. Everybody starts out
Hmm.
in a difficult place for the most part, and
Oh,
it's the
totally.
people that do the work, think outside the box, try
Hmm.
new things, come up with new ideas, reach out to a network. The network is key.
Yeah.
Those are the
Oh,
people that
yeah.
succeed. Sitting around complaining about why things aren't going your way or questioning why something may not work, you know, yeah, oh, well, aren't you worried about, your bundles not selling? Well, if you go swimming, you're worried about an alligator coming up and biting off your foot. It's like it's almost like saying the same thing. So, no, I'm not worried because,
In Florida, you might.
well, yeah, yeah, maybe, but I'm not worried because if that happens, I am confident that I can strategically switch to a new plan and make that work. So you just try new things and keep going. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I remember starting off, and I'd be telling my wife, "Oh, sales are slow," and and she'd be like, "Well, what are you going to do about it?" That's her reply to me all the time, like, "What are you going to do about it?" I'm like, "You're right, absolutely," and it's ever changing, and the beauty too about the being part of the coaching program is anytime you have any doubts, you just give them a contact, and that whole community will definitely help you out and plan and even plan beyond Amazon too, which is an amazing thing because the coaching program is way more than just Amazon. And I think this whole business that we're in is way more than just Amazon as well.
Yeah.
I think that's the foundation, but sky's the limit with so many
Yeah.
things.
What one another thing I liked about the coaching program is they really do cater to your specific. I had no experience. So they had to cater through to like step one, sign up for Amazon, dumbass, and step two, do this, step two,
Yeah.
whatever. And they were great about it. They said, listen, we'll stick with you until you recoup your investment, which I
Right.
haven't told them yet, but I'm pretty close. And and by the way,
Nice.
that's not just like recouping your investment on the year. They say that you will recoup your investment in profit like each week. And I was like,
Right.
okay,
Right.
yeah, that's not going to happen because I just didn't see that far ahead. And who's
Of course.
you can reach who's Jim Cooper runs the coaching program
Uh-huh.
for Jim Cockrum, and he's in Seller Tradecraft. So you could reach out to him if you want, ask him questions about it. We're happy to answer any questions that we know, but they're the guys you should talk to. And there's a lot of coaches. I mean, Bob Willie, we have Andrew Milburn. Geez, I'm trying to think of who
Sure.
else. Pretty much,
Nate, well, and I mean Nathan Bailey's not a coach, but he's helped
yeah.
me out
Nathan Bailey
tremendously
runs.
throughout the
He
years.
runs the. I think he runs Jim Cockrum coaching,
Runs the
and
whole,
Jim Cooper runs sales, I believe, or whatever they call it.
yeah, I mean they've helped me out tremendously
Yeah,
throughout the years, and I mean my initial talk was with Jim Cooper,
yeah,
and I had businesses before that failed, and he just took the time, he tried to understood or understand where I was coming from, and really helped me. And to this day, I can always just contact him. He has all the help he could possibly give. It's amazing.
yeah.
It's amazing.
So that's that. But um, yeah, I mean, what did you think of tonight's webinar, man?
It's right up. I tell you what, it's right up our alley. That I know for
It
sure. And
definitely is.
it's anytime I watch those, I always say I have to do more of it because it just makes sense. And it's funny they mentioned that Trade Show No Show, which was a book I read a couple years ago and listened to the audio interview with Jim Cochran and the author of that book. And I was like, it's brilliant. I was like, it's absolutely brilliant. Um, so it has the wheels in my head turning. I'm sure it has the wheels in your head turning as
Oh
well.
yeah, I tell you, that's why we have these calls because I can never sleep after a webinar. You know,
Oh, I'm not sleeping tonight, man, at
yeah,
all.
so
Absolutely
like,
not.
we gotta get our ideas fresh and on paper, and and Frank and I have talked about, they I know how the MMA guys they share ideas and Frank and I have talked about that same thing. We have the same vision.
Absolutely.
I'll tell you, this guy has an incredible, just an incredible heart. He believes in the same types of, ideas I believe in as far as giving back and service and all that. And honestly, I don't think I've ever met a nicer person. And I almost feel kind of bad, because I tend to like, joke around with Frank and like, bust his chops, and he just laughs and he never like gives it back to me. So I almost like, feel uncomfortable. But we have a lot of fun. It's great, and I'm really happy.
It's a good time.
Yeah, I'm really happy. We took the time to make that first phone call. It really has really paid off. So
Yeah, I mean, the connection. We come from similar backgrounds too. I mean, Italian families, big
yeah,
Italian families, and I don't know, just an understanding. Not saying that that's the only reason why there's an understanding, but it definitely helps.
yeah. Well, I mean, you naturally connect with people who are like-minded and whatever it may be. And so I just wanted to talk a little bit about some of these key points from the
Yeah,
webinar, and
let's do it.
I took notes. I know you did. I'm just like a baby in this wholesale thing, and I know you've been doing wholesale for a little while, and you also
Hmm.
had this experience with your
Totally.
private label. So, well, with your product that you had made. So, I'd like to get into that. But what? So where do you look for wholesale sources? What is your like? If you was like, okay, we're gonna go for a wholesale source. Where do you start that process? Do you search the product first, or do you search for vendors and look at their products? Where do you start?
It's been various sources. I mean, since I started, I mean, the very first time I got in touch with a wholesaler, it's a grocery item, and I made a pack of
Mm,
something, and it sold really, really well. And I contacted them. They were in New York and developed a relationship, and I still have the relationship with them. And it was very seamless and very simple. And I was like, oh, this is fantastic. Um, but as they were saying on the webinar, sometimes they're a little bit more
yeah,
difficult though than that. And I remember the second one that I found something, they sold right away. I called them up, and then they gave me oh, we don't sell to Amazon people.
yeah,
Click, see you later,
yeah,
bye. Um, but that's how it started. Then I got the book that Ryan had, the wholesale sources, and I went through there and found some really good sources as well. Skip McGrath also passed on some good wholesale sources. I remember like a year ago that I got
yeah.
a
I have
hold
his
of.
book. Yeah,
Yeah, and it's just been a combination. A lot of the times, the people you get on the phone, that they're the
yeah,
gatekeepers. So depending on the rapport you build with them, right, the relationship, I try to be nice to them and courteous and make chit chat, and that's definitely helped. And then other people, like Ryan said, some just don't want to deal with you. So you're like, okay, on to the
yeah.
next one.
Exactly. Like they said, there's so many wholesalers out there. If you get that roadblock, you just move on. That's it. You know.
That's it. That's it. Totally. Totally.
Do you find that wholesale is much easier for replenishments? Um, they mentioned the 3 email move, and but do you find that it's much easier to replenish your inventory wholesale rather than doing your regular online and retail arbitrage? And my second question is on the pricing.
Hmm.
Now, when you source a
Right.
wholesale, now you did grocery. I know those are low margin items, but are you
Hmm.
are you looking for a specific source amount when you wholesale, and what are you looking for as a return? So that's kind of a two-part question. So
Yeah, I definitely think the replenishments are easy. I'll reference back to CS1 again, where when Barrington was on, and he would talk about his techniques and just how he would email them, and it would be very again, very seamless. And at the time I was like, wow, I was like, that'd be amazing if that could happen. And my first wholesale source is indeed just that. I do find the replenishments are easier, and that's just because you have the relationship with them already. Um, Sometimes you don't even talk to anybody too. So just a matter of um, going to that particular site and filling out the information using your uh, certificate number and all that, and then just ordering from there. So I placed one last week, and it was very simple. Within a matter of days, it was at my door. So that was easy. Second question, oh yeah, it was the
Yeah.
margins. Everyone has difference of opinions with this. My rule of thumb on anything is $5 minimum, but not with the wholesale items. I would say at least I'm looking for at least 10 on these
Yeah.
things. If it's a small item, you have to think of the whole package, right? If it's a small item, something lightweight, I look for that. If it's with the groceries, of course, with the packs, then I definitely look for the 15 to $17 range too, because I'm packing out 3, 4, even up to 6 items together. Um, but it definitely varies on the items. I do have some wholesale accounts where they're just small items, so I don't mind knocking out the $5 minimums with those.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I'll tell you, I when I heard them, sometimes like things, things enter your mind as an entrepreneur, but you don't remember it or write it down, and then somebody else says it, and you're like, oh yeah. When they mentioned
Oh yeah,
bundling wholesale, you know,
yeah,
naturally you would think that. I started hopping in my seat. I was so excited. I started checking my wholesale list to make sure there was a product that I could get and do that. And I have specific guidelines that I search for when I wholesale an item. And I know a lot of people went through Entertainment Earth to get approved in Star Wars, and that's great, but their margins just don't work for me. I can't. I just there's some bundling opportunities there. Now that I see that with my pile of Entertainment Earth inventory that I have not sold anything of yet. So I have actually bundled out some of those, but I just thought that was like a necessity. But
yeah, totally.
so I find that I get much better margins when I search for a wholesaler through a product rather than
Hmm.
search a wholesaler's products. So when I
Right.
want, when I do, Barrington had a great move of searching a seller's back office and seeing what he might be wholesaling, an experienced seller. And I've done that move where I found a product that I was interested
Hmm.
in. I did this with the tool, and you find that wholesaler and reach out to them, place an order. I find I can get great margins
Right.
that way, rather than going to like an Entertainment Earth or another, fill out online distributor and buying their inventory. It seems like there's a much lower margin on those online sites. Does that you find that you have the same experience there?
Yeah, absolutely. I noticed those sites are starting to have lower margins, and it's something then, can you make a quick dollar on it? Absolutely, but it might just be that, in fact, which is a dollar. So you have to then think about that. And I have a good friend of mine, my buddy who I went to high school, who ironically does this business as well, and that's cool for him, and that's his business
Mm-hmm.
model. He does a lot in
Yeah.
volume. It may not be necessarily good for us though. And yeah, I definitely agree. If you go that route, you can have better returns on the margins.
Yeah. Yeah. And it takes a little more work, but uh, you know, it,
But it's
yeah,
worth it. It's worth
yeah,
it.
and one of the things I've said before too when I do my bundles is I always focus on maximum profit per product sold rather than going in
Hmm.
really deep on a low margin item. That's great that's
Right.
great for Q4. That's a great Q4 model. Going
Oh,
in deep on
absolutely.
products because they sell fast. But for the rest of the year,
Hmm.
that's my goal, and that's why I do toy and tool bundles mostly is because I can source something for $89, sell it for $199. You know, and
Yeah.
it's a little higher cost, but the return is much greater. that's just the way I look at things. And you know, and but so I basically, I mean, I don't have a ton of capital to throw at wholesale. I'm into shoes, as you know, and
Yeah, of
there's a
course.
lot of bundling has a high sourcing cost. So with wholesale, I'm kind of just kind of feeling the waters right now. But as Q4 ends and we look to new selling techniques, mark my
Yeah.
words, wholesale, and I will definitely be private labeling right away.
Oh, oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And as Q4 ends too, people should be like one of the wholesale places I go to. They just got their catalog and they're already pushing the Valentine's stuff, and I'm like, you know what? I need to be also looking at the Valentine's stuff. So you got to be at least a quarter ahead too when you're sourcing. You
Yeah.
know?
And, I remember from what little information I gathered last year in my limited knowledge, when I was selling tools, I basically went to Home
Hmm.
Depot, at just maybe a week or two after Black Friday, and Home Depot was selling like tons of these little drill bit kits, and that was like the only thing I could quickly scan and source. So I picked up hundreds of those. They sold right through to Valentine's Day, all the tools,
Yeah.
no let up. And then come Valentine's Day, listings got saturated, prices dropped, and that's how I got into bundling because that
Yeah.
was my only move. And then when I saw I could
Hmm.
jack the prices back up, and I was the only seller, and I was getting, I've shown one of my early bundles from that time, early March, the most horrendous title. So when people think they need all these metrics to get good titles, people are using these advanced seller techniques. I had the most
Yeah.
horrific
Totally.
title. When I look at it, I cry. The bullets were horrible. The description was horrible. I just relisted a similar product and I pulled some of the information out of that exact listing. And I just about changed most of it because it was so bad. I had bullets in my description. So I had that little like black dot after each point because I just had no idea. But you know what? That bundle sold for 8 months at,
See?
I think, 120% margin. It was something insane. I think it was source 30, sold for 90. Um,
Wow.
and with fees and everything, I don't know. It might have been total of $10 in fees and with shipping to Amazon. So it was probably up around $45, let's say max. And I was selling it for 90. So um,
Wow.
I think I was somewhere between 120 ROI on that product. Uh, that was my top one of my top selling products most of the year until Home Depot discontinued it. So let's talk about your.
And then you move
Yeah,
on.
exactly. And I don't know if there's anything else you want to say about wholesale, but
No, I think we're good. I think we're good on
yeah,
that
I
one.
think so too. It's pretty straightforward. But I wanted to talk about your exclusive product that you sourced from and had manufactured uh, from China. And when you first told me this, of course, I had really no
Yeah.
idea. I think we met what in May or something like that, May June.
Yeah.
And I
That was about May.
when you told me how easy it was, you had your website created. You met a contact in China that has other contacts, right? You had
Yes.
your product designed, the packaging designed,
Yes.
shipped over here,
Yes.
and you outsourced everything,
Hmm.
right? And I couldn't
Yeah.
believe your costs, how low they were. Do you want to share a little bit about that experience, please?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, that again, there we go, right? There you go.
Here they are.
So
So first
seven
of all,
within
what is the
7.
product? Let's get there.
Okay, well, this is I have two daughters, right? One is Juliana and the other is Theana, and we had a G&T designed here on this is only one of the designs, but there's a total of 6 designs. 6 of them are pink and the other, or I'm sorry, 3 of them are pink and the other 3 are purple, totaling to 6. So they're uh, exclusive designs. And then, of course, that's the G&T logo on them for Juliana and Theana, for my daughters. And it's a guitar pick collection. So there's a total of 12 of them, and it has a case with it as well. So they're guitar picks for girls.
Yeah, and it's just a simple, easy idea. You got your feet wet with
Hmm.
it. You learn the market. It
Yep,
doesn't have to be some big, elaborate item that generates millions of sales for you. It's just you learn the process. You got it done inexpensively, and now
absolutely.
and now you have the context, so you can move on to something bigger and better if you want to.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And as I was saying before, and I'll talk about the process in a
Yeah,
second, but now with all the tools with Jungle Scout, I realized that this particular niche, can you make money on it? Yes. Can you dominate it? If done correctly, absolutely. But you're probably only looking at um, maybe hundreds to thousands as opposed to then these other products and niches that are well beyond that. So again, looking back, would I change anything? No, not necessarily, because it's inspired by my two daughters, and that's the route I wanted to take. But definitely something for everyone to think about when they're doing their own research for
yeah.
sure.
I mean, you set a goal. I know your family's
Hmm.
involved in your business, but you set a goal that you wanted to do this,
Hmm.
and you got it done. That even
Absolutely.
if you didn't generate any sales, that's a win in my book. You know.
Oh yeah, and it was exciting the whole way, going through the process. So talk about the process. So when I decided to do something, um, like everyone, I went through the route of Alibaba and just contacted everyone. Um, some people reply, some people don't, and that's the name of the game. But a couple did reply, and it did take some patience. It did take some going back and forth, especially because the times, they're on different times. Like right now is their peak time, between now and the next 5, 6 hours. Well, that's the time that some of us may be sleeping. So I'd wake up in the morning, I'd have emails, and I'd go to reply to them and won't get a reply until later on that night. So there was such a delay in that whole process. Um, but I was able to really get not only a good deal and in a small order, to where I felt good about it, but a lot, as Ryan and the company was saying earlier tonight, was the rapport. I went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and a lot of the times the talk was just general talk. I even got their feedback on things as well, which I thought was pretty cool. Um, but through that, I was really, I think, able to dwindle down to a good price, to a good price.
Now you mentioned that. Now, what were your steps? Now, you didn't go right out and create a website and go into all. I mean, you followed a protocol, right? I mean, I know you maybe have you were kind of going learning as you went, but how,
Yeah,
what was your process like? From like conception of your idea to finally getting that product delivered to you. You know, you quickly go through the
yeah. I mean,
steps
I
or
kind of did some things out of the ordinary, where I did create just a website just to have it on there, but that was more not for wanting um, sales to come from there, but just because I was able to get a good deal on it, and the person who did the designs of the pics also was good at making websites. So I worked out a deal. Now the website's kind of vital, to be honest with you, but that's because I'm not trying to build that up right now. Eventually down the line, I have some plans for that on the educational side, because again, I think it's lacking for girls and music and stuff like that. But that's down the line. But as far as the protocol goes, is once I was able to get the designs, and that was through Fiverr, like most people go through. Once I was able to get those down, I literally sent them over um, to the contact I made through Alibaba. They sent me back a sample. Did I approve of the sample? I think there was maybe one edit I had to do, so then we had to send it back, and then it came back, and then once I finally said, okay, this is what I want, then the thing that took the longest was dwindling back, or dwindling down how many could I get at what a good price, which fit my budget, and what I felt comfortable with. And you have to explain to these people that I like the quality here, and I'm going to do long-term business
yeah.
with you. So please try to work with me as best as you can early on, especially because your financial situation may not be so vast that you could just spend whatever you want.
That's a great point. It's almost like you convince the supplier that you're going to be in business with them. You're not going to create this product
Mm-hmm.
and then go have someone else make it. so you establish that contact with them. Now, when you found out
Absolutely.
that the company you used for the packaging, you said you did Fiverr. Is that where you had your website made as well?
Yeah, so after I got the designs, the person who did the G&T on here then did the other designs as well. I saw also
Oh, okay.
does websites. So I said, you know what, let me just see if I can package something together just to knock it out, just so I have it there for the future, secure the
Yeah,
name. Again, I don't work on it because I'm doing this right now, but that's down the
that's
line.
great. Now, did you get your business name trademarked?
Yeah,
Product
I got
name?
the business name trademarked. My accountant helped me out with that, so that's another good tip for people is get a very good accountant because he did everything for me.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I got a
Yeah,
trademark
and
too.
I have a trademark for my second business. It's another revenue stream for me, and I use Trademarkia just like Lance mentioned in the webinar. They're a good service.
Yeah,
They're gonna cost you a little bit more, maybe like $150 more than if you try to do it yourself. But they're a legal team and they get all the information, do all the steps. It's almost like automating your trademark,
right.
instead of dealing with the USPTO, because there is several steps. It took about a year for me. How long did it take you to get your
Mm.
trademark? Do you remember?
It wasn't a year, but I think I was joking with my wife at the time. It was a pregnancy,
Yeah,
so it
yeah,
was about nine
yeah.
months, I
It's about
think.
that. Yeah, nine months to a year. And I think the only reason mine took a little longer is because I made a mistake on the classification. Because I wanted to use my trademark for Amazon as well, and they made me file a
Mm,
second classification for retail rather than, uh, you know, what I was doing was just a business name for a construction company. So, uh, yeah, I mean, so
that's
what is
true.
the name of your product, if you don't mind sharing?
So, I mean, right now it's I mean, it's just they're just guitar picks by G&T Music. So G&T Music is kind of the moniker of everything, and um, yeah, everything's going to kind of be under that. So, if there's anything educational, it's going to be G&T Music. This is their if I do something with songwriting or whatever the case may be,
Yeah,
but everything will be G&T, and I even have a graphic of my girls as cartoon characters too. So
that's fantastic. Yeah, well, you know what?
just stuff like that.
That's
Yeah.
great stuff, man. I mean, not a lot of people would, go through all that just to. It's almost like you started a new niche. Like you had an idea, you wanted to, bring music into your girls' lives. So you
Hmm.
realized there wasn't a lot of guitar picks for girls. It's almost like a 4-hour work week type formula that you did. Go ahead and create your own product. It's fantastic.
Well, yeah, absolutely, and I know that's a huge influence on both of us. And I always reference Jason Miles, his presentation. I'm sure he was at CES 3, but his CES 1 presentation, it really started, believe it or not,
Yeah,
there with this whole idea because he does so well with Liberty Jane and the dresses.
oh yeah.
And I said, Jesus, that's absolutely brilliant. And I mean, he doesn't rely even on Amazon with the exception of his information products. So uh, what he built was incredible, and I was like, that's really something to strive for too.
Wow, that's fantastic. A lot of great information. I
Yeah,
saw I
totally.
saw I saw him speak at CES 3 as well, and it had a lot to do about the charity he started behind his business. And I'll tell you, it was
Oh
one of the
yeah,
most
totally.
inspirational speeches I've ever heard. I mean, these guys they start these incredible businesses, but then they still give back, and to the community, and they start charities, and these it's just they're basically changing the world. It's not like, okay, I'm going to
Hmm.
start a business and make millions, buy a house, buy a car, whatever. Like it's I want to be the whole meaning of entrepreneur to me is more than just owning a business. It's doing something much greater than yourself. Giving back, whether it's as simple as just teaching people your ideas and what you've learned, to giving back to your community and changing people's lives and making a big difference. And yeah, that to me is what it means to be a business owner and an entrepreneur and a member of the community. So I know you feel the same way.
Yeah, I mean, I look at it like starting a movement. I mean, we could talk about all day
Yeah, of
just about
course.
how unhappy most of people who go to work on a regular basis are, and I think that this whole community, ourselves included, want to permeate that so people feel like they don't have to do that. I mean, there's so many things that I think people miss out on doing, and the 4 Hour Work Week even talked about that,
Yeah.
right? Doing your passions. Who follows that nowadays, you know? And if you could start a movement to make that happen,
And
that's
by the way,
huge.
you do all this and work a full time job and have
And work a full-time job.
three girls and a family. And so, dude,
It's too
hats off
rough.
to you, brother. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
So
Thank you. Well, yeah, I mean, you have your own stuff that you juggle too. So I mean, I give you a lot
yeah,
of credit
yeah.
also.
And that's just the thing is, everybody thinks their problems are, the worst, but everybody goes through it. Everybody has setbacks. Everybody has roadblocks, and it doesn't matter what pushes you back. You just keep pushing forward, and you can get it done. So
That's it, man. That's it. Have a plan. I don't like to tell people be reckless, but kind of free fall a little bit. Have a plan. Um, Sometimes having all the control is not necessarily the best,
yeah,
So free fall a little bit.
yeah,
Let things happen organically, and you'll see it
yeah. I
blossom.
like to say goal, plan, execute. And that's
There
just
you go.
how you have your dream. You write down what it's going to take you to get there, and then you just take action. I mean, that's all it's down to. That's all it comes down to. And
Absolutely.
absolutely. So, listen, both Frank and I are heavily involved in Seller Tradecraft Facebook group. You can reach out to either one of
Huge.
us anytime. And
Yep. Anytime.
I will. This is a recorded conversation. I will be posting it to YouTube, and I will post it into
Yep.
Seller Tradecraft. So check it out.
Yep.
It's Frank DeMaria. I'm Abe. We'll catch you later.